order of the Oxford Historic Preservation Commission. First item will be the approval of the agenda that we're all holding. Is there a motion that we approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been approved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is approval of the minutes from our most recent meeting, November of 2025. Is there a motion that we accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Motion's made. Is there a second? Any other comments? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Do we have a staff report tonight?
Yes, so as happens every year, our next two meetings fall on Martin Luther King Day and President's Day. So we traditionally have moved the meetings to the following Thursday. So for January, that would be Thursday, January 22nd. And for February, that would be Thursday, January 19th. So.
February 9th.
February 9th.
February 9th?
Yes, yeah. We're not gonna have two in January.
It's going to get really complicated.
That would be a lot, yeah. So, I would need a motion to move those meetings in a second.
Next meeting will be January 22nd. The February meeting will be February 19th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Awesome, thank you all.
We have one administrative approval that's been made. Do any commissioners have any questions about that administrative approval? If not, we'll move to the public hearings. First case, number 848, COA requested by Jenny Vinghouse for exterior changes to existing structure located at 1300 Bainland Drive.
Okay, thanks. And I will note for the
Hi.
record that Jenny is with us virtually, the applicant.
Welcome, Jenny. We're glad to have you with us.
And
Kate?
Commissioner Mogridge is recused. Okay, so we have before us at 1300 Beanland Drive a request to replace existing windows and to paint the exterior of the house. The house is described in the Historic Resources Inventory Survey as a 1.5-story brick veneer split level ranch house with modernist influence built circa 1965. The commission has heard a couple of cases related to this house in 2018 and in 2015 when the fencing and garden was installed. And there was also some window replacement, decking repair at that time. The survey, as I'm sure you guys saw, has conflicting information. The status of the house is listed as contributing in the registration status, but then the description offers that the building is non-contributing due to age. So, that's a little bit of a conflict with our information from our consultant who did the surveys. While all buildings in the historic district are reviewed by the commission, non-contributing structures are offered more design flexibility than contributing structures, but alterations must be compatible with the district, although they do not necessarily need to preserve historic fabric. Contributing structures have a higher preservation standard and stricter review for alterations, and the historic appearance and materials must be maintained. We don't frequently review ranch houses. This is probably the first one that some of you have reviewed with this commission, as much of the inventory in Oxford's historic districts is older than the subject property. The ranch style is characterized by asymmetrical one-story shapes with low-pitched roofs, and the split-level style became popular in the 50s as a multi-story variant of the ranch, often featuring a garage or a carport on the lower level. And a mix of wall cladding was common in these buildings, like the subject property. The South Lamar District, which is on the National Register and locally protected, features a range of styles. We have Greek Revival and Italianate mansions. We have Queen Anne cottages, craftsman bungalows, colonial revival houses. And the district represents the growth of Oxford over several hundred years. This house is obviously a later infill, as it dates roughly to 1965. Staff does believe that the house contributes to the character of the district in certain ways as it continues to show the evolution of South Lamar Boulevard and the city over time. The commission may agree or may find that the building's age is outside of the significant architectural period for the district, or that it's not an exemplary example of the ranch style and does not contribute to the district. So I broke up this is kind of a long proposal, but I broke up the applicant's proposal with staff comments. We'll just briefly take you through that. So the first request is to paint the exterior of the home, which includes both unpainted brick and the existing painted siding. A strict interpretation of the guidelines would read that bricks and stones that have never been painted should remain unpainted, and commercial sealants or waterproof coatings should not be applied. It's recommended against by both the design guidelines and the Secretary of the Interior standards. The subject property, being newer in age, is not a brick frame building, so that's an important distinction. It's a veneer brick, and the commission has at times allowed for the painting of a brick veneer. So you have a little bit of leeway there. And then the request to replace windows and doors. The applicant, I included their description of the existing single pane wood windows. The wood appears to be rotting in several places according to the applicant. Several are original to the structure, although the doors and windows on the rear of the house were replaced. That was a part of that previous COA that I mentioned earlier. The proposed replacement windows do match the proportions and light arrangement of the current windows. The proposed replacement of windows, especially windows original to the building, is not consistent with the Historic District design guidelines, which direct that every effort should be made to preserve existing historic windows and to repair them rather than to replace them with new modern windows. However, the commission may determine that they're appropriate in this instance. And if they do determine that the replacement is acceptable, they meet the guideline for replacement windows that they should match the original and pattern of openings, size, and configuration of window panes. Staff finds that the proposed painting of the masonry and the replacement of the windows is against the recommendations of the design guidelines and thus recommends denial. Due to the sort of strange circumstances in this instance with the building status, the commission may find that the building does not contribute to the architectural character of the district due to its age and style. In that case, a lower standard of adherence to the guidelines may be appropriate as determined by the commission. So I'm happy to answer questions that you guys have about the staff report and the project, and then I'm sure Jenny would be happy to as well.
Do we have questions for Kate?
Is there any reason to paint the brick other than aesthetic? It doesn't appear to be. But, maybe I might have heard them that.
Jenny, could you hear the question?
Any reason to paint the brick outside of aesthetic? Was that the question?
Correct.
Yes.
No, I think just aesthetic. But we would be leaving some of the red, the front porch area and the little pathways would stay the brick. It would just be the walls that would be painted.
So all the walls painted, the flat work stays, of course, unpainted.
Correct.
Yep.
Are the windows, you want to replace all the windows in the entire house?
Yes, that's what we had hoped. The ones that we proposed to change them with have the same number of panes, and even the ones on the front that crisscross, I don't know the exact name of those, but we tried to make them look identical. It would just be more energy efficient, and just the places where it just wasn't, I don't know if rotting is the right word. I know our contractor is Jimmy Bowridge, and he's usually on the committee with you, so he would be able to answer that better. But there were just areas where especially the trim was rotting. I don't know if that is considered the window. I mean, but there were just some poor areas that looked to be in poor shape.
Are some or all of the windows currently wooden windows? Do you know?
Yes, they are.
Comments about replacements of windows from the commissioners?
Are those diamond patterns or those original?
I would suspect not, but I'm not 100% sure. I think that the building has been altered quite a bit, so I haven't been able to dig up any photos, but I would suspect that it was more like the other arrangement of windows on the house.
The current windows have 7/8 inch buttons, you know, kind of the smallest, more or less, is that?
That's
I
typical.
couldn't tell from the material whether or not, I didn't see them when they were called out, the size of them. You know, typically standards like 1.25 inches, it makes a huge difference. If they could be put back the same as that, it doesn't seem like that big a deal.
Yeah, and they're proposing a clad which is able to replicate that profile, so we can make sure that the profile is the same. Yeah, it's assuming
The only
that it's
thing I would
mounted like
add,
with
sorry, I don't
7/8.
know if it's my
It's specified
turn.
as 7/8.
Because of the positioning of the house and it faces, the north side, basically from North Lamar, you can't see any of the windows. I don't know if that matters because it's positioned low, it's built low, and the side of the house faces North Lamar, and there's not windows on the side, if that makes a difference.
Well, it's a factor. The house is really not that visible from Lamar.
And just to return to Joel's question, the spec sheet provided by the applicant has the muttons at 7/8 inch,
Same
which
size.
matches what's there currently. Yeah.
Are there any concerns about replacing these windows with the understanding that the replacements will be identical as far as dimensions of sizes of lights and dimensions of framing? And the painting of the brick, we need to talk about that. The house is the situation is a little bit unusual because on the historic survey, it's both contributing and non-contributing. It's on the edge of a historic district. It's a ranch house, which is not necessarily typical of this historic district. Comments about the brick?
I'm kind of lukewarm on it. If you stand there and face the house, you know, the overall front of the house, it's 60% painted at least. Siding and kind of a modern style brick. I mean, to me, it wouldn't hurt to paint that like it would an old, a very old structure. Older style brick and mortar, but it really is just aesthetic, I think, in this case.
So that's the Beanland Avenue elevation there.
It'll definitely radically change the appearance of the house. And you know, one consideration that we give is to houses that are brick veneered versus frame houses that are solid brick.
Masonry, very much, yeah.
I mean, there's a difference in the integrity, I suppose, of maintaining the brick.
I also think we've been very consistent, you know, the fruit paint on non-contributing. We try to stay away from contributing houses, but it's under 4, so.
Yeah, your request has several things going for it. It's not visible from Lamar. And the discrepancy in the historic survey, I think gives you a little bit of an edge here. And it's a non-contributing structure. Does anyone want to speak against painting the brick? We have a lukewarm. And again, does anyone want to share an opinion about the replacement of the windows?
I think the windows are fine, and I think, you know, the argument can be made that those are relatively common brick that'd be very easy to replicate. If you did any sort of, ever did an addition, anything, it's kind of nice with them unpainted. And it's always the way we, I think, as a group, we tend to go. It's just this one's kind of, I don't know. It's just purely my own personal opinion, and it kind of, it's not that big a deal, but, you know, I can sort of be convinced either way. Anybody else that's,
It's a unique circumstance. I mean, with the survey and the, you know, I don't know that there's a way to strictly interpret the guidelines either way, just based on the variables we have here. So,
Well, why don't we see how it goes? Is there a motion to approve the COA as presented to replace the windows with duplicate in appearance windows and to put the brick veneer? Is there that motion?
so moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments? If not, all in favor of approving that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
so you're approved, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The next case, we have two recusals. The case is for Rachel West, and she and Virginia are recusing themselves.
Okay, so this property, which I'm sure Ben will switch to in a second, is 512 North 14th Street. We considered in September some additions and changes to the structure, which were approved. The applicant is returning for a request to replace the existing tin roof with a wood shake roof. 512 North 14th Street is described in the Historic Resources Inventory Survey as a circa 1890 one-story four-bay frame Queen Anne cottage. Those exterior modifications that I mentioned from back in September included the removal of the non-original roof pop-ups, which you can see from the front elevation of the building. I'm sure you guys have been by the site. The existing roof is a tin or metal material, and while metal roofing, specifically sheet metal, was sometimes used during this period, the primary roofing material was actually slate or wood shingles, often in decorative patterns. It can be assumed that the existing roof is a replacement due to the changes made to the structure since construction, especially because of those non-original roof pop-ups. I would assume that when they pierced the roof, they replaced the entire roof at that time. We cannot, however, know the original material of the roof without evidence to support it, whether metal or shake. Our design guidelines document that wood shingles were used in Mississippi throughout the 19th century and into the early 20th century, which is the time period of this house, and frequently on the Queen Anne style, which this house fits into that period and style. So staff believes that a strong argument can be made that wood shake was present on this building at some time before the roof replacement. So staff supports the request. It is a historically correct material for the age and style of house. And I'll point out that if they were wanting to come back with tin or metal again, that also would be appropriate. It's just, due to the prevalence of cedar shake in this time period, we don't have, I think it fits well within the guidelines to make the change. So staff is recommending approval of the COA as proposed. And Jonathan Maddox is here on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you, Kate. As you'll all recall, we approved COA on this property recently, including the removal of those little dog houses or the dog house that's on the roof as we look at this photograph. We approved an addition and other work, but this COA just deals with the material to be used for the roofing, and they're requesting cedar shake, a cedar shake roof. Any questions or comments for Kate or Jonathan about this?
You don't see those ever because they're so darn expensive.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to see an old house put back. We've worked on a lot of old houses like that, and a lot of times people love old roof, and there's wood shingles on it, the original one. So I think many houses around here did have them, and they look great. Love to see more of them, but you know, they're cost prohibitive, so it's kind of nice to see it.
Yeah,
I agree with you, John.
I agree too.
It is exciting. I reached out to them because I've worked in places before where people were doing composite wood shake because it's a lot cheaper, but it's basically made of plastic. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what they're doing here, but no, they're doing a true wood. So it's amazing.
And there's not many of those to be seen, so this will be a good example for us to have in our inventory. Is there a motion that we approve case 849 as presented?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? If not, all in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 849 is approved.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. The next case, 850, which I'm sure we've all read, retroactive COA. The contractor was to be here and wants to be here, but is having travel difficulties by air and is not able to be here for the meeting, and the homeowner is not here. I'm sorry.
He's requested that we postpone until January.
That's a good request. So it will be tabled and re-presented in January. Is there any other business that any commissioner or staff has we should consider? If not, is there a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Well, that's a cookie. Yeah, the last one.
I never talked to you about it. I was just like, it's good.
Because it has civil